So these are my favorite cookies. I actually created this recipe. It's called Yin-Yang Cookies. A lot of people call them brookies when I make them, but they're not brookies. The chocolate part is not a brownie. But anyway, these are so delicious. So the first thing that you are going to need is a half a cup of unsalted butter, softened to room temp, or you can use margarine, and then a half a cup of granulated sugar and a half a cup packed light brown sugar. And then you're going to cream that until it is fluffy and mixed in. You are going to have to stop and scrape down your sides at some point. And then once that's all creamed together, you're going to have a delicious looking fluffy mixture that you have to resist not to dip your fingers into. And then after it's all nice and creamed and fluffy, you're going to start adding your liquid ingredients, which is actually just your 1 teaspoon of vanilla and your egg. And you only need 1 egg, but it does need to be room temperature. So as you can see, as it's mixing, it got all incorporated, and then it does start sticking to the sides of the bowl. This always happens. There's really no way to prevent it, which is why it's important to stop and scrape your bowl down so you make sure that everything is incorporated into the mixture. Scrapey scrape. I moved recently after our house fire and I lost a lot of my cooking stuff, so don't have a spatula right now, but I'm happy to say that the spatula is coming in the same box as my tripod, which should hopefully mean some better shots of the videos. So this is what the mixture looks like when it's about ready. It's all nice and creamed together, the sugars and the butter are all incorporated, and it's soft and fluffy. And then here's where you're going to add your 1 teaspoon of vanilla and your 1 room temperature egg. I always crack my egg into a bowl to make sure that there's no shells in it, but you're welcome to crack it directly into your dough. You just might get a shell. After you do that, then you're going to take your dry ingredients. You're going to need 1 cup of all-purpose flour, a half a cup of cocoa plus 2 tablespoons of cocoa. It's your choice on if you use sweetened or unsweetened. It doesn't really matter. If you use unsweetened, it's going to be a little bit more bitter. 1 teaspoon of baking soda and a half a teaspoon of salt, and you want to mix your dry ingredients together before putting them in the bowl. Put those in the bowl, start out on a low speed, and then slowly increase it. Now this dough is extremely thick, the chocolate dough is. And there's 2 doughs that go into these cookies, which is what makes them yin-yang cookies, and with everything going on in the world, I think we can all use a little bit of balance and also the good with the bad. Which there's nothing bad about these cookies. They're freaking delicious. I love these cookies, and so do my kids and husband. You're going to add 2 tablespoons of milk, and then you're going to have to stir in your chocolate chips. Now this dough does need to be refrigerated. Both doughs need to be refrigerated, ideally for 2 to 3 hours. The preference is 3 hours, but you can do 2. No matter how long you refrigerate it for, the chocolate dough is going to be sticky. Then you're going to start making your peanut butter dough. Peanut butter dough is similar to it. It's a half a cup of unsalted butter, room temp, half a cup of packed brown sugar, and then a 1/4 cup of sugar instead of the half cup that was in the first dough. And then again, cream that together, let it get all nice and soft and fluffy. And of course, stop to scrape down the sides. And then once you do that, you're going to take 3/4 cup of peanut butter. Now, if you're allergic to peanut butter, you can use sunflower butter. If you're allergic to both of those, increase your 1/4 cup of sugar to a half cup and match that with the regular half cup of brown sugar and just omit the peanut butter altogether, and you'll just have like a chocolate chip cookie dough. Then you're going to add your 1 teaspoon of vanilla, your 1 egg that's room temperature, and you're going to cream that together again. It's going to look a little bit soupy to begin with, but don't panic, just keep creaming it until it's all nice, soft, and fluffy. And then you're going to add your dry ingredients again. 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then once you get to the end of this, you're going to fold in that 1 cup of chocolate chips. I used semi-sweet, but you're welcome to use dark chocolate if you want them to be a little bit less sweet than what mine are, but I prefer semi-sweet. You can also use milk chocolate, and you can even get fancy and do semi-sweet in the chocolate dough, or milk chocolate in the chocolate dough, and then do peanut butter chips in the peanut butter part, again, if you're not allergic to peanuts. And then once you're done, you're going to put this into a bowl, put both of them into a freezer bag, and then refrigerate them for the 2 to 3 hours. And then you're going to bake it at 350 for 8 to 12 minutes. You have to check them. The cookies turn out pretty large, but If you keep checking them, just make sure that they're golden brown and look mostly cooked. I do show you a shot of them in the oven, and that is about a minute and a half before I pulled them out. And then you're left with the yummy, gooey goodness that these cookies are. When you're ready to bake them, you are going to take 1 teaspoon of the white dough slash the peanut butter dough and 1 teaspoon of the black slash chocolate dough and roll them each into their own ball and then squish those 2 balls together. These are so good. If you try them, please let me know what you think. I've actually guarded this recipe with like my life for the last few years. And recently I've had so many people asking me how you make them, I decided, it's time to share the recipe and get it out there because these cookies really are too good to keep to myself. They are so delicious. When my kids want one, because they're so big, sometimes I cut them in half because frankly right after dinner it's just too much sugar right before bed because they go to bed about a half an hour to an hour after dinner. So here they are. Oh, and you need to take a fork and dip it in sugar and then smash down your cookies a little bit, otherwise the centers will be raw. Here's a picture of them when they're done. Here's a short little video. And then here is them breaking open when they're still a little bit warm and they're so gooey. These cookies stay soft. This recipe makes about 18 cookies. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe. Sorry about that. I got cut off. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more yummy food videos, vlogs, or product unboxings and product reviews. And also here is the recipe, so feel free to hit the pause button and write it down if you would like to have a paper copy of it. As you can see, my recipe has been through a lot. It took me probably 6 months to get this recipe right after our house fire because we lost all of my recipes in it, which was absolutely devastating. But I'm happy to say that I have it back now and I love it.